It's that time to kick off your shoes, crack a cold drink, and get ready for some good times. This is the Blowed Out Podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is officially March. Just a fun factoid. March 1st was 69 years from the day we tested the Castle Bravo device in 1954. This should be a wake-up call to all these nuclear-capable superpowers. Castle Bravo was 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb that leveled Hiroshima. 1,000 times. Let that sink in for just a second. At 23,500 pounds, it caused a mushroom cloud that reached 130,000 feet high and left a crater that was 250 feet deep. Jesus. It was over 6,500 feet wide. For those of you who are wondering what the quick math is on that, a mile is 5,280 feet. This was 6,500 feet wide. Good Lord. Yeah, let's just go ahead and push those buttons, dumbasses. That's a little much, I would say. Anyhow, it's been an interesting week here in the Dirty O. We had some thunder snow. That was, as near as I can recall, a first for me. I've got a very dear friend, a brother that lives in Alaska, and he's been taunting me over the last several days with pictures of the Northern Lights, which are awesome. Shout out to Ben. I'm super jealous. However, I got to see thunder snow. It wasn't quite the Northern Lights, but there was something amazingly powerful about seeing lightning light up the entire sky through a blizzard that was pretty bitchin'. According to everything on Loogle, it's pretty rare. It also, 86, there was a study that 86% of the thunder snow incidents, sorry if I messed that up, that say that anytime that happens, within a 24-hour period, there will be at least 6 inches of snow to follow. We didn't get that, but I'll still take the lights. It was pretty damn awesome. Not the Northern Lights, but at least it was still cool. Also, last Saturday, I worked security for the Attitude Arm Sports Utah State Arm Wrestling Tournament or Championship. I wanted to give those guys a shout out. I honestly didn't think it was going to be as entertaining and enjoyable as it was. These guys really put on a great event, and all the competitors were fantastic. I knew it was going to be, or at least I anticipated it to be, just like a big meathead shit show, like walking into a Gold's Gym, being the skinny ginger kid. Not that I'm skinny or ginger, but there was plenty of pre-workout and testosterone to go around, but man, it was a class act. Everybody was super cool, and it was actually a really good time. So good job, you guys, and congratulations to all the winners during that tournament. It was, like I said, it was really awesome. Speaking of pre-workout, not pre-workout, but remember, you can visit Dubby Energy at dubby.gg. That's dubby.gg. You can enter the code blowed out for 10% off any purchase. Dubby is a fantastic energy supplement or energy drink. B vitamins, amino acids, nootropics, all kinds of good stuff to get you all riled up, keep you going with some laser focus. I actually really enjoy it. They've got some great flavors. Again, you can get 10% off with the code blowed out at dubby.gg. Heading into this week's deep dive, Fox News is apparently reduced to covering stories of potato chips from England. Well, maybe they finally found their niche. Apparently there's some potato chip manufacturer, across the pond, known as Crisps, that was hosting some sort of a contest. If you found a heart-shaped crisp, it was worth apparently about 120,000 US, and some lady took a picture of it and sent it to all her friends or posted it on her social media and then ate it before being told that it was worth $120,000. Anyhow, that's what Fox is up to, covering the important stuff. Speaking of stupid news stories, Dr. Fauci is apparently sticking to his story of the COVID-19 origins after yet another report, this one being a recent Department of Energy report that puts them in line with the FBI on the origin beliefs. But not old Dusty Nut Fauci. He still claims that data from evolutionary virologists strongly suggests that the virus was a natural occurrence. Why isn't this clown in prison? Why is anyone still listening to this goofy bastard? Studies also strongly suggest that this worthless old bastard not only had firsthand knowledge of the gain-of-function research, but was also directly involved in its funding, and God only knows how fat his bank account is from Big Pharma and all the other entities involved. The fact that he's even allowed to speak freely on this topic is absurd. Enough is enough. There are way bigger issues going on. We don't need 3 new COVID variants a year to keep people in fear. Lock him up along with most of the big pharma execs, seize their Brazilian dollar accounts, and stop feeding the healthcare money machine. This is simply just ridiculous. Christ. You know why he retired? Because he knows he's a fraud, and why anyone continues to put any merit into anything he says is beyond me. Simply beyond me. What a... we'll just leave it at that. Dirty old bitch. Well, now I want to really kind of go off for a minute here about a local story for Utah. A 25-year-old man was shot by police in a parked car without chase, without being called in. Apparently, this was a routine traffic stop in Farmington, Utah. Originally approached for no plate. Now, I'm 99 normally I would say 99.9, but it's pretty rapidly going down my support of law enforcement. But now we know this was a couple of days ago now, when I first started following this story, 12 shots, at least 12 shots by 5 officers through both sides of this poor bastard's car. And we know this because there's 5 officers now on paid administrative leave, which also, I get the paid administrative leave pending investigation. However, I'd like to know what the actual fuck was going on here. This probably and most likely should end poorly, not only for this young man's family, that his life was sadly abruptly ended, but also for the Farmington, Utah police. I hope they're using their paid administrative leave probably to shiver in their boots. Just one fat man's opinion, because I often carry, back up and preface that with the fact that there have been no details released by police. So to assume that he possibly had a gun, which was the reason for calling 5 officers for backup on a routine traffic stop, we can only speculate. But so I often carry, and I have a half black son. This shit is so far out of control. It's no longer, not that it was ever okay, but now it's just enough is enough. The Farmington, Utah police chief is quoted as saying, "I know my guys, and if they shot, they were in fear for their lives." Okay. 5 officers were in fear for their lives from a single 25-year-old male occupant? Without chase, without any call of altercation, a simple check on a vehicle with no plate, a simple traffic stop, and he was parked in a parking lot. How? Did he have on a bomb vest? Maybe an unpinned grenade? Even if he had a handgun, how are 5 officers in fear for their lives enough to riddle this dude full of holes? Like, what? There are pictures of his car on the interwebs, with at least 7 holes through the passenger side windows. I don't like... How are 5... even if he did have a bomb, you're a dumbass for standing next to the car. If he had if he had a bomb, that would be the only reason I could personally see that 5 officers were in fear for their life. And at that point, why did your dumbass not run and call SWAT? Rather, you're going to stand there and take the risk of, I guess, setting said bomb off by shooting the dude? Yeah, that's solid logic. What the fuck? Have the recent police-involved tragedies not taught us anything? Are we just going to continue down this path? I agree, it's not a great time to be a cop. Not that it ever is or was, but Jesus. If you were too scared of every swinging dick outside your doors that you unstrap your weapon for a simple registration stop, maybe you're in the wrong profession. And again, I really hate to say that because I genuinely, most of the time, stand on the side of law enforcement. Once upon a time, I was cruising down the road on my Harley, and it was spring, so I had on my leather jacket. Of course, can't be a proud biker without a leather jacket. But I'm cruising along, and I just got my handlebars put on, and I got lit up by a cop. And I remember thinking to myself, why is this dude, what the hell, why am I being pulled over here? And at first I thought maybe it was because of my bars. They were awfully tall, pretty illegal, but, is what it is. This was a city cop. City cops don't give a shit about handlebars or, exhaust or any of the things that, any things that violate state inspection requirements. So it was interesting, or at least I was curious as to why I was being pulled over. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't, anything of that nature. So I pulled over, and I pulled into an abandoned gas station. And of course I had on my shades, and so I pull in, and I shut off my bike, and I put it down on the kickstand, and I'm watching behind me in the mirror, with head straight forward, just looking out of the side of my eyes. And I see what appears to be a 12-year-old kid climb out of this cop car and immediately unstrap his weapon. And I thought, what the hell? So this kid, and I say kid because if he was 23, I'd kiss your ass. He starts screaming at me from across, 35 feet away, shaking like a puppy passing a peach pit, screaming at me to put my hands up. And I thought, oh, shit. This kid, this is about my gun. And now I'm genuinely afraid this kid is going to shoot me because he is clearly not comfortable. He is clearly in fear for his, barely out of diapers life. And I thought, oh my God, at the time, I didn't realize how or why, but I immediately started trying to de-escalate the situation while he's screaming at me, shaking, holding his gun. And I said, look, man, yes, I have a loaded 45 on my right hip. I am a concealed, I have a concealed permit. I have done nothing wrong. I have no problem complying here. But my wallet also happens to be on my right hip or on my right ass cheek, which means I'm going to have to reach for it. And I literally told him, if you fucking shoot me in the face, dude, I'm not going to be okay. So, long story short, I managed to get my wallet out, extend it to the full length of the chain, and dump the contents out for him to, very cautiously come over and pick up while I kept my hands up in the air. And at the end of the whole thing, I told him, he told me that some little old blue hair had called me in because I was this big scary biker guy and I had a gun. Well, turns out that with my new handlebars, it made my jacket ride up enough that my gun was hanging out of the bottom on my waist. And she called me in for, and so of course they considered it a brandishing, call. It all worked out okay, and thank God I didn't get shot. But I told that kid, I said, Jesus, and I really thought this was going to be the end. I thought you were going to shoot me. And I realized that severe lack of training, just not everybody who is a cop or who wants to be a cop is cut out to be a cop. I mean, it's really not rocket science. If you don't think for a second you can shoot and kill another human being if necessary, or do some of the things, then don't be a damn cop, or stop being a cop. I get it. You want to, all these guys say, oh, I just want to, I want to do good in my community, or I want to give back and everything else. Well, that's fine. I understand that. And that's a valiant, cause. That's a great reason to become one. But if you can't, or don't think you can, perform under pressure of, a situation like that, or if you might just start pulling your trigger, wildly, like a preteen shooting into a fucking gym sock, then get out, or don't fucking do it. Don't be stupid and kill other people because you can't handle your shit. There's only so much training that can be done. If you don't have the guts or the demeanor for it, then fucking don't. Again, guys, I'm almost always on the side of law enforcement. I've always believed that if you have nothing to hide and aren't a criminal, aside from speeding or failing to signal, etc., you should have nothing to worry about. Don't be a cunt, follow directions, and everything will be fine. But anymore, especially with drastically increasing numbers of instances like this, Memphis, and so on, I'm very disturbed and wonder if I need to reevaluate my stance on this topic. With every passing event, maybe I need to worry about my son becoming a victim to a scared, trigger-happy cop with little man syndrome. Maybe I need to rethink my stance on people being good people instead of thinking there is a blanket statement or stance for anyone. And maybe I need to rethink my stance on self-identifying my weapon the next time I get pulled over. I truly, genuinely hope I'm wrong. I've worked closely with law enforcement for several years and I have many friends in law enforcement. I really hope this trend ends sooner than later and hope it all pans out well. This is yet another example, in one fat man's opinion, of how the woke and canceled bullshit is facilitating an increasingly divided population. This shit's gotta end now. Enough with the us, we, them, they, shit already. Enough with color, social status, political party, geographic, demographic horseshit. We're not only Americans, regardless of color, shape, size, rich, broke, fed, hungry, housed, homeless, straight, gay, viral or virile, impotent, or any other example you can think of. We're human. We're all on this goddamn rock together. I can assure you, if we can't figure this shit out sooner than later, it isn't going to matter if you were upset that some random asshole that doesn't matter called you a guy or a girl or a Zim instead of a they. We need to stop being a selfish, you need to stop being fucking snowflakes and realize that if humanity can't unfuck itself real quick, none of it's going to matter. Consider this my call out. I'm not saying I'm the benchmark or any better than anyone else by any means. I'm just going to be one to say it. Tag Joe Rogan, tag Elon Musk, tag Jeff Bezos, Biden, Trump, Whoopi, Barney, Simon Cowell. Tag anyone with more reach than me, hell, which is most everyone. But for the love of all life, if you agree, just spread it before it's too late. I'm sorry to be so serious, but if we don't start spreading this, like crazy, it's not going to matter much longer. And although I hope my kids will never have to deal with it, I'm rapidly becoming afraid that it will be in my lifetime. But like always, enough of that stuff. It's time to lighten it up a little bit. A friend and I, Shane, shout out to Shane, #blessed. We were talking the other night, about why is it that we have to divert mental power to do shit like find an address. Why do we find it necessary to turn down the radio and like concentrate? Somehow we got on this topic. It was interesting. We ended up relating it to like a machine or even a car having to slow down to change gears mentally. It's strange that we have to do that. It was something like I said, we ended up talking about and we're laughing about it. I don't know why that is. Clearly, I'm not a doctor, and hell, I'm not even smart for that matter. But why is it that we have to do that? Why do we have to go, hold on, turn down the radio just to be able to look at numbers on a house? Shit's weird. Which also brings up the other fact. If you can't handle driving, Christ, get off the damn road. There's nothing makes me more insane. If the roads are covered with snow, fine. Drive cautiously, slow down, absolutely. Be safe. But, if you're doing 30 in a 60 just because it's wet or dark or you just can't handle it, I swear on everything that's holy, I'm going to ram you. I'm going to push you out of my way. I know this is brought up a billion times by a billion different people, but I swear to Christ, for the love of God, get the fuck out of the way. Like I said, if you can't handle it, if you're not going to go at least 70 miles an hour in almost any condition, don't even get on the freeway. Just don't. Stay home. Uber, DoorDash, Walmart delivery. You don't have to leave the house. You don't have to go out in traffic and irritate the rest of us with your inability to handle life. I love you all, and I hope none of this is you. But please God, if you're not going to do the speed limit, or you don't know which lane you actually want to be in, or you forgot that you were going to turn in 12 feet, just stop. Please just stop. I'll pay for your Uber if you just get the fuck out of my way. I can't handle it. I cannot handle it. I generally always have somewhere to be. And not that I am any more important than anyone else, or that my places to be are any more important or any more urgent than anyone else. But if you're not even doing the speed limit, or you're cutting me off, or you're driving down the middle of a 4-lane because you don't know which lane you want to be in, or even what planet you're on, just stay home. You shoot me an email, I'll send you $3 for an Uber. Stay home. Don't drive. Public service announcement. Thank you much. Anyhow, sorry guys. I am still actively trying to get this studio finished here so we can start having some guests and multiple microphone setups, but having some contractor issues. Mainly a contractor who won't own up to his shit and come put my flooded basement back together. So there's that. Still waiting on some carpet. I have a date now. So I'm waiting on some carpet and some baseboard and some sheetrock to be put back together so I can actually assemble the studio and we can start rolling some guests in proper like. Unlike the Drink Diaries that sounded terrible, we'll actually be able to rock multiple microphones and have some real audio. So hopefully that's coming here in the next few weeks. Also, I am working on, I've got some stickers in the works. So if you guys want a Blowed Out Podcast sticker, hit me up. I'm also going to be doing some other swag, maybe some shirts, and stuff like that. Thanks to you guys. Big shout out to everyone. We just hit over 100 downloads. Basically in the last month, 35-ish days, which doesn't include anything that was on the first platform. So, God, thank you so much, guys. I'm honored, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you're enjoying it. Hope you're spreading the word. I couldn't do it without you guys. So let me know if you want some swag at blowedoutpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere you listen to podcasts. Also, if any of you guys are interested, maybe head over to Facebook or even an email and cast your vote to whether or not you'd like color or just the black and white logo. I haven't actually shown the colored version. My daughter was gracious enough to help me out coloring the logo, and I like it. But I'm still torn on whether I like it more than the black and white. I don't know if I like black and white more than the color or color more than the black and white. So I'll post it on the Facebook page, Blowed Out Podcast on Facebook. Maybe have a look and see what you guys think. Cast your vote as to color or black and white stickers, and just let me know. And again, like I said, we're going to get some great guests lined up here in the next couple of weeks, and good things and good times always to come. Let me know if I can help out or if you got something coming up. Like always, let's put something together. I appreciate you guys, and we'll talk real soon. Cheers.